Hello everyone and welcome to Civilization 6. I'm currently in the middle of my first campaign here, and before we go and talk about all of the details, all of the things that I've discovered and experienced so far, I do want to mention that the game Civilization 6 has been provided to me by Games Planet, which is my partner shop. I'll leave a link to it in the description of this video so you can check them out. Basically, it's an online store where you can get some good deals on some of your favorite games, and whenever you use the link that I have left in the description to make your purchases there, then you will actually help out the channel as I get a part of the revenue there. Now, I will actually make a separate video where I'll talk about this and properly introduce you to Games Planet, but I just wanted to let them be mentioned here. But yeah, so let's go back to Germany. I don't actually like playing as Germany all that much in Civilization 6 here, because to me they seem a bit more military focused, and that is something I usually don't do, as I'm not very experienced. I know enough to play the game and have fun, but I'm not really all that aggressive usually, and especially not against city-states, but we'll talk about that in a second. Now, first of all, Germany gets an additional military policy slot. Basically, this is one of the new changes that they've made. They've completely overhauled how the policies and yeah, well, technology not really, but policies and culture works. And we'll have a look at this maybe a little bit. I don't want to have a tutorial here exactly going over all of these things, but as you can, just see by the name of this, an extra military policy slot helps out your military. And that's good for offense and defense. I'm not really too worried about this, but what I don't like is that you get extra combat strength when attacking city-states, because attacking city-states is something that I've never understood why anyone would do that in Civilization 5, because to me, it always seemed so much more useful to have a city-state around, because, especially when the World Congress starts, they would vote for you, and, trying to persuade other players, in single player or multiplayer is extremely difficult. So having these city-state votes on your side is very useful whenever you want to get something passed. So therefore I usually try to ally with these city-states, and I never really wanted to attack them unless they were maybe something, a city-state that was right inside my empires, threatening my borders from within, that someone else was having control over. But yeah, usually I don't really understand why attacking city-states. I guess it makes sense for Frederick Barbarossa here, who is the leader of Germany, since he was historically often at war with the North Italian cities that were openly defying the rule of the emperor. But yeah, that's just, I guess, me. Maybe it doesn't really fit my playstyle. Anyways, what fits my playstyle more is the free imperial cities. Basically, each city can build one more district than they would usually be allowed to. Districts, obviously, also one of the new features of Civ 6, one of the big changes from Civ 5 to Civ 6, but not really too difficult to, I guess, understand. I'll talk about this a little bit later. And then one of these new districts is actually the Hansa. This one, oddly enough, replaces the industrial district, which is interesting because as the Hansa was a merchant league, I thought that, the Hansa, if the Hansa is a district, it should probably rather replace the commercial district, as, there were a lot of merchants there. Or at least the harbor, since they were trading in the Baltic Sea and had their ships in there. But I guess the industrial district is fine, and the U-boat is just a stronger submarine. I haven't actually had the chance to discover what it does and how much stronger it is, but I guess that's pretty standard. But yeah, that was all about Germany for now. Let's have a quick look at the map, because as I said, I have been going forward for, well, quite a lot of turns. Almost 200 turns I've played, and I'm currently in the Middle Ages, 1340 AD. And yeah, this is our starting capital of Aachen, and I'm actually quite pleased with the starting locations that we had here, because of several reasons actually. I don't think that we actually started off right here. It's grasslands and not hills. That's always a little bit of a shame, but I don't think we actually started off here. I think we started off maybe over here, and I then moved, or maybe we're over here, I'm not too sure, but I definitely think that I moved, but I wanted to move on to this river here, because it's very important in Civ 6, more important than it was before, that you actually build your cities next to fresh water, because fresh water gives you extra housing, and that is needed in order to grow your population. So as you can see right now, we have 8 out of 12 housing used, and basically you get a growth bonus if you have more housing than you actually need. So if we're gonna have a quick look at the city details here, you can see that obviously access food is still needed, like it was in Civ 5, for your city to grow. Your city needs to be happy, but that's also something that has been changed majorly. There was a global happiness previously in Civ 5, and now we have gone back in Civilization to the, I guess, local happiness that is, provided by amenities or amenities. I'm not entirely sure how that is pronounced, but basically just make sure that your people are content. If they're happy, you grow even faster, but content is fine. Just don't let them get unhappy. And yeah, obviously housing is also important, because if you do not have enough housing, then your people will not grow, because there's nothing for them to live in, right? But yeah, this is basically our starting capital. As I said, I really like that because of the fresh water. Let's actually have a quick look. We now have some map modes here, which I think is kind of cool, especially coming from EU4. That's something I really enjoy. So if we have a look at the settler map mode here, you can see where it would be great to settle. Now right now this actually says red here, which is too close to a city, which is obvious because we have already settled here. But usually this would have been I think it was fresh water. Yeah, basically it was fresh water. Over here we have coastal water, which gives extra 1 housing, fresh water extra 3 housing, and no water, which would be like in here, does not give any extra housing, and that's obviously something you want to avoid whenever possible. And another thing that's very important is the appeal. Now I'm not actually sure what it does just yet, but I think it also comes into play later a little bit with tourism and maybe also the housing. But I'm not too sure, but luckily our place right here is appealing, I think. Is it appealing? No, it's breathtaking even. It's breathtaking, which is the highest. So that's right now. That's really nice. It's because it's on the coast, maybe next to a river, and it has that mountain up there. So it does look very nice indeed. Then you also have charming, some average lands, and disgusting and uninviting. But yeah, we'll have a little bit of a look at this later on as well. For now, I just wanted to let you see the starting location, which is also good for a couple of other reasons. Now, first of all, we obviously have that river. It's always good to be next to a river and next to a mountain as well, because at least in Civ 5, it used to give you access to some special buildings, some special wonders. Not too sure if that's still the case. But still, it's always useful to have a mountain there, even just for defense. And that was actually quite crucial, because the barbarians are were quite difficult to defeat in the beginning. So it was very nice that I could just station 1 unit over here in these hills, another unit over here in these hills, and basically just seal off my border to that side. And then I could completely focus on any of our enemies that would come over here. And if they wanted to attack our capital, they would have to cross the river. So I felt very good to have this starting location. But yeah, one more thing that I want to show you is, because my second city that I've settled here is obviously not Beijing. We'll talk about that in a second as well. My second city was actually Mainz. I did look at this prime location right here on a hill next to a river with 4 wheat tiles. But first of all, I thought it was a little bit too close to the city, and second, I found this place, which is so much better. It's next to a huge mountain range. Basically, it's sitting right at the pass between, well, these lands here, and it is next to the natural wonder of the Mount Everest. If we get the pop-up to show up, there it is, Mount Everest, and the appeal is breathtaking. So once again, this actually makes for, well, I don't actually know if it has any actually, we did not settle in the breathtaking spot. We did settle in the charming spot, but I think that was probably a good reason for that. But yeah, anyways, so we did settle next to an oasis as well as a river, so we do have some fresh water here as well, and the appeal is obviously quite nice. And basically it was just a city, a gateway city, so I could block off anyone coming from that side. Unfortunately, as you can see, I did not do too good of a job with that, because I did buy these tiles, but too late, so the Chinese were able to get past me with a settler, and then they settled right here, the city of Beijing, in that very nice location. And so, as you can see, now that it is under my control, I went to war with them, which is actually quite easy for a couple reasons. First off, the Chinese at that point were at war with the Japanese over here, but look at Kyoto. Look at how defensible that is. You can only attack them from over here, and then you could walk through here, but having to cross 2 rivers is very difficult, and then obviously you could come from the hinterland, but yeah, that's very unlikely. So yeah, they obviously did not really do a good job of attacking them there, so they were very distracted, and that gave me the chance to attack Beijing. And there's another reason why it was quite easy for me to capture this, because it has been changed the way cities defend themselves. Usually, you know, you always, whenever you settle the city was able to attack enemies, you know, once every turn. That is no longer the case. You actually need to build the ancient walls or some kind of walls first before you can take care of these city strikes. And that actually makes it very difficult to defend your cities early on if you don't have any units stationed there, as they have no way of defending themselves. So yeah, that way there was only 1 unit stationed in Beijing, and I was able to defeat them, as the Chinese were not able to pass through my city right here, and they obviously were busy with the Japanese. Now, one thing that's very unfortunate is that for some reason I've not found how you can rename your newly captured cities. I've tried to click anywhere, and you cannot rename that yet. You can rename units, and you can even, and that's really cool, you even have some map pins. Basically, you can add a pin anywhere on the map, and then you can just write whatever, and yeah, just have a pin there. That's really cool, because if you guys might remember my Civ 5 series, I had a lot of fun naming the world with you guys. I was using a mod where I could do just that, where I could add some pins to the map, and we would have pins like over here naming these mountains, like the Mount Everest, or this is just some kind of mountain range, and this is the Gironca hill plains, whatever, you know, and that was really a lot of fun, and I like that they have included that into the base game right now. So that's going to be a lot of fun for a potential series that, you know, I might do. But yeah, I actually will leave a link to my Civ 5 campaigns in the description of the video for everyone who might be new to the channel or someone who has not checked them out yet. That's definitely something you should do, because I do think that there were some really great campaigns, and I kind of want to see if we can have something similar in Civ 6 as well with all the new changes. Now, one thing that I should mention, since I just talked about war, is obviously diplomacy in this game, because that has been overhauled as well. So, for example, let's have a quick look at Peter, the Russian Czar here. There's many things you can do. So you can declare war, you can still make deals, which is, you know, trading with them, you can make demands, you could do that before. And you also have casus belli, which basically, you can just declare war, you can declare these surprise wars, but that gives you a bigger warmonger penalty than you would get if you would use a casus belli. I'm not sure. I did use a casus belli when I fought China, and because they have just attacked the Japanese, I kind of had a warmonger, I think, casus belli or something like that. So basically my penalty was not as high for capturing their city. But yeah, that's the one thing that is pretty standard. And now you have new things. You have the gossip items. Basically, you get some just notifications about what's going on in that particular country. That only works if you have sent a delegation. That is meant you need to have an access level. We actually have open. That's very interesting. I did not know we would get the access level open. Huh. Okay, now this is actually very interesting, because basically every leader has 2 agendas. The first agenda is an open agenda that you can see right from the start as soon as you meet that civilization. In this case, Peter is a westernizer. He's friendly to those civilizations that are ahead of him in science and culture, and dislikes them that are backwards. because he can basically leech off of those that are advanced. Now, in his second agenda, there was something that I was actually, that was really funny. He's paranoid, so he likes civilizations who pose no threat, and he dislikes them with strong militaries or ones with nearby cities. And that's really cool because he has oftentimes told me about, you know, how big of a military I had, even though I had like 2 units, and it was really fun. So far, he has not actually told me to piss off. I have settled a city right next to him here, Dortmund, and I've been actually buying a lot of tiles right next to him because I did not want him to steal them off. And I've actually been thinking about going to war with him, simply because having St. Petersburg as well as Yerevan over under our control would be really nice, as there's a mountain range closing off here, and obviously there's a huge mountain range over here, and then we have that river as a nice defense for our realm. So that would be really cool, having all of that under our control. Right now we have, you know, we have our gateway city here, we have sealed off this region with Cologne. Unfortunately, you can actually not ship around here. That's very sad. This is blocked here, so you can actually not go away. So the only, I guess, sea nations that could trouble us could come from this side, and so therefore I've sent my galley over here. And yeah, basically I've sealed off my empire so far, and having St. Petersburg would really put me in a prime location. And I just find it funny that Tsar Peter is so paranoid that I want to attack him, and I'm actually thinking about it. Now, one thing is obviously also that you now have different governments. This is something very cool, especially if you want to, you know, take a more roleplay approach, as I usually do in my games. So that's really nice. I think I'm not sure what I'm currently. I think we are a monarchy, actually. That plays into, you know, giving your civilization some extra bonuses. I don't really want to touch upon that yet, as I have not really understood what exactly is going on there, but that's basically where we get our extra military slot, just for those of you who might be interested. But yeah, so this is really cool. I really like the new things. You also can obviously see their relationship. It's much clearer now why they dislike you, why they like you. Now, they are actually the only ones who have accepted our delegation. They have not accepted my delegation. So right now, we can only see their open agenda, which is the wall of 1,000 Li. And they do not like us because we hold one of their cities, I think, and because we are competing for them with wonders. I've built 2 wonders so far, and that's why they do not like us all that much. And I think Japan, yeah, I could send a delegation right here, but they say no thank you. So unfortunately, that means I will not be able to get any more gossip about them. But that's okay. For now, I think we're gonna have to leave the diplomacy here. Now, you might have noticed here that I guess the lighting changes, and that is because of a game option that I set the animated times, and it's actually a bit strange because it basically changes whenever you get out of the diplomacy menu and when you get in. I'm not sure if that is intended. Usually the way I thought it was intended was that it, since you have a real-time clock right here, it would always represent the time or the daylight situation that you have right now where you're living. But apparently that's not the case, so I probably will turn off that feature, as that is actually kind of strange to have it switch that often. But anyway, now one new thing that I guess could also be considered diplomacy is the city-state interaction. Now I have to mention here that, you know, as I said, I usually like to interact with these city-states instead of outright conquering them, but I don't really know if I like this new system better than the one we had before. So basically now, instead of having the influence that you had before that you could get, you know, through gifting them money and doing some quests for them, you now earn envoys, and you can earn them by either completing some quests for these city-states. So right now we've completed a quest for Yerevan right there, and we've earned a new envoy. So we have one available, and we get one at 100 influence points. Basically, influence points you gain depending on your government. That's something you just gain, and you can spend them on, you know, sending them, or you can send them to these city-states right here. So right now we have 1 envoy in that capital that gives us 2 faith, and we have that was the first one, and we also have 3, which gives us a new bonus that we get additionally to the 2 faith in the capital, 2 faith in every holy site district. If you have 6, you get an additional bonus, and more importantly, if you are the civilization with the most envoys sent to that particular city-state, you become their suzerain. And we might actually be able to do that. Let me quickly see if I can do that right now. Can I send an envoy here? I think I can. So let's actually send an envoy here. We already have 4. Let's send 1 more. Confirm that placement. And are we the suzerain? We should be. It's influenced by 4 civilizations. I think we should become this guy. 3 envoys and more than any other civilization, and then you get some huge bonuses, and you will actually be able to use their military. You will be able to, for a couple of turns, I think 30 turns, you'll be able to take care or take control over their military, and you can use that in your wars. That's really cool, but I don't really know if I like the envoy system all that much. But, you know, as I said, I haven't really figured that out too much. I will see how cool that is, but as I said, I was actually thinking about declaring wars on them anyway. So yeah, that's just one thing. That's a cool new feature, I guess, but once again, I will have to see if it's actually better than the one that we had in Civilization 5. But yeah, I guess the last thing that I should probably talk about, which is one of the bigger features that I've already, I guess, touched upon, is the city development, as that is quite different from the way it was in Civilization 5, because now you don't just have your city in that one tile where you founded it, but your city actually grows because you have districts that you know, are all over the place. So for example, we have the campus district right here, which is focusing on science. We have the, what's this? This is the theater district, I believe. Is there a way I can see that? Is there a way I can see that? Manage citizens. No. Purchase an item. Choose production. Maybe that's how we can. So we do have the city center, which is right here. We have the holy site, which is over there. We have the campus over here next to mountains, giving bonuses. Then we have the theater square, which I believe is this one right there. Well, that's the aqueduct right there. The aqueduct is right here. And then we have the Hansa district, which is the you know, the unique district for Germany right here. And I think that's all of the districts I have in this city. Yes. And basically, you can then build buildings within these districts. So that's really cool. So we have built the library and the university in the campus district, and then we can send people to work over there. Now, the districts obviously take up space here, so you always need to make sure if you want to get the actual yield bonus from that tile, or if you want to replace that one with your district. So that actually makes settling cities in deserts a little bit more appealing, because, at least to me, I don't want to waste any tile, any yield points. I don't like to waste that stuff. So having them in deserts is actually kind of cool, because they usually don't have any yield. So you can just slap down a district there, and that then gives you all kinds of bonuses. It just, obviously, you just need to make sure that you have enough food, but in the case of Beijing here, we are not lacking in food. What we're actually limited by is housing, as you can see right there. So that's a little bit problematic. We have 10, we actually have a couple of homeless people in here, and that's, that's gonna make these guys, I think just gonna make them grow slower. I think that's all there is. But yeah, in addition to, complex, or in addition to districts taking up space here, you also have wonders taking up space. So I was able to build the hanging gardens right there. Very nice. They give extra food growth as well. And we have also been able to build Petra right here, which does improve the desert tiles that are owned by that city. Once again, something which is probably kind of contradictory to what I just said, that I like deserts because you can slap down districts there for no real cost. It's still, I don't know, I like building wonders whenever I can, so I tried to build that one right here to the next to the Mount Everest. But yeah, I don't really want to go over building districts too much, because, this is one of the new features that you can get used to very quickly. It's not really too complicated to understand. but it is very complex, and I think this is really where you're gonna see the difference between new players, you know, between casual players and pro players, because you can really micromanage your cities there, and you can really get a lot out of your cities by just placing your districts in the best way possible. And that's something obviously that takes a lot of time to figure out how exactly you want to do that, because your districts usually have some bonuses depending on what kind of other tiles they border, and that also changes depending on what civilization and what leader you play as. But yeah, as I said, that's very complex. You can really you can make or break your game with that, and you know, especially in higher difficulties, that is going to get very important. Yeah, just here in the very end, one thing that I just want to quickly mention is that I have a lot of faith right now because, well, I wanted to get a religion initially just to have a look at how that is going, but this is a change, I think, from Civilization 5. In Civilization, you used to just get a profit once you hit a certain amount of faith. That is no longer the case. You actually only get faith, you actually only get a great profit if you get great profit points. And I somehow did not manage to do that. And then 4 religions have already, which was the maximum, have already been recruited, and now you can no longer get great profit. So yeah, that's very unfortunate. I was not able to get a profit in there. Yeah, and now I don't really know what I'm gonna spend my faith on, but that's okay. For now though, I think that was all I wanted to show you guys. I might do a second one of these videos. I will probably start a series at some point. That really depends on how much you guys, you know, are interested in this, and you know, how much you demand it. But you know, for me, I think I can hold off on starting a true series until I have learned a little bit more about the game. But yeah, that was just me showing off what I've been doing so far. I hope you have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.